ready to face a German invasion, while the Royal Air Force fights to keep control of the skies above southern England. For 6 weeks, the Luftwaffe has been relentlessly attacking Britain. They hit key positions in an effort to smash the British defences. One important target is Southampton, a large seaport bristling with merchant shipping. In 1940, it is also the location of the Supermarine Aviation Works, where the Spitfire aircraft is produced. Although a large shadow factory is being established in the Midlands, the Southampton works are vital to the aircraft's production. The Spitfire is Britain's foremost fighter aircraft. If the Germans could destroy this factory, they would slow or even halt the production of this formidable weapon. Although raids have been made on the town and surrounding docklands, it is not until September that a concentrated effort is made to destroy the factory. On Wednesday the 11th, German aircraft from a bombing unit attack Eastleigh Airfield, the final assembly area for Spitfires. The raiders identify the wrong buildings and instead hit the Cunliffe Owing factory, killing 50 civilians. 4 days later, on a Sunday afternoon, the same unit tries again. This time, they target the factory on the River Itchy. But their bombs miss the objective and fall into the residential area of Woolston. The factory survives, but the surrounding streets are devastated. Cyril Russell is a metalworker at Supermarine. He and a friend are amongst the first on the scene.
No sooner had we gone a few yards into Defender Road that it was obvious that the area had taken a lot of bombs intended for the Spitfire factory.
Further up the road, they find a house has collapsed onto an air raid shelter. Without hesitation, they start trying to move the pile of debris.
Pulling the loose brick and rubble away and throwing it out behind me, I penetrated into a cavity and saw the foot and shoe of a little girl. There was not a mark on her, but the whiteness of the skin and the limp limbs, plus the wide, open, unseeing eyes, told me the struggle had been in vain. Someone said, "Bring her out, son." And as I stood up and turned, there before me stood her father. For myself, nothing would ever be the same again.
At Supermarine, work continues as normal until a similar raid several days later, on the 24th of September. As the sirens sound, the workforce drop their tools and run for cover.
You can see the smoke from the bombs going up, you see. And as it kept down, and then a moment later the whole building, this building, was shaking to 3 inches. We had very little warning. I heard the attack fire. I looked up and I could see the vicious lip on my nose, and I saw a bomb dropping immediately above me, about the height of a house. I had to decide quickly which way to go. And I suddenly looked across to the right and I saw the roof of the house lifting up and falling, and dust and debris covered us. We were in the middle of a stick of bombs. We'd been straddled. I crouched behind this little first aid post that was in the centre of the road here. A colleague of mine appeared from the other side, and within a few moments it was all over. And we were just thanking God that we were still alive.
This time, the bombs are more accurate, but fail to hit the main factory. Instead, they fall in a line of air raid shelters where most of the workforce are taking cover.
People were so shattered, people were fainting, females screaming everywhere, and I don't mind admitting myself, I was very shattered.
2 days later, the Germans change tactics and send a large formation of Heinkel bombers. They drop over 70 tons of bombs. This time, they are successful and hit their target. The factory building is destroyed, Spitfire production is stopped, and over 150 civilians lie dead. In London, Lord Beaverbrook, the Minister for Aircraft Production, learns that the factory is out of action. Within a few hours of the raid, he arrives in Southampton to assess the situation. By now, it is clear that although the fabric of the supermarine works has been destroyed, much of the tooling and equipment is intact.
Lord Beaverbrook arrived here at the works, and I was sent for with other people to see this wizen-faced little man. And we brought him there, and all of a sudden he started thumping the table. And I don't mind if I wasn't in the mood to be thumped very much at that occasion, having 2 days of this. And he thumped the table and said, "Look, I want more Spitfires, more Spitfires."
Beaverbrook and Supermarine senior managers implement a strategy to keep Southampton building Spitfires. The plan is to disperse production of different component parts of the aircraft throughout the town.
On the Sunday, I set up team looking for suitable premises. There was one across the road here, which was a Sunlight Laundry. As the Spitfire equipment was moving in, so the calendar laundry machinery were going out. Next door to that was the Henson Dorset bus station, which we took over.
A network of mini factories are established throughout the town and beyond. Within 5 days of the bombing, Cyril Russell is back at his tools building Spitfire fuselages, but now at Hendy's garage in the town centre. The dispersal plan works, and as the autumn draws in, the focus of the German bombers moves towards other targets. For the time being, it seems Southampton is safe. However, in November, the Luftwaffe returns. This time, their bombs fall on the town centre. For 2 nights, a concentrated attack destroys much of the high street and commercial district.
Terrible in its awe and majesty, the town had become a blazing furnace in which every living thing seemed doomed to perish. The sky was a crimson canopy, probed by the silver beams of 100 searchlights. All fortunate enough to find accommodation in the neighbouring towns and villages joined the long columns of vehicles which at dusk streamed out of the town in all directions. Saddest spectacle of all was the mighty trek of the less fortunate, on foot, with prams and pushcarts, containing their scanty bedding. Men, women and children trudged into the night to sleep in schools, barns or in outhouses, or to wander in the woods till morning.
By 1941, the threat of invasion had faded. Although Southampton was still a target for enemy aircraft, London and the industrial Midlands became the priority for the bombers. The town had been badly damaged and its population shocked. In total, over 25,000 bombs had been dropped on Southampton. 40,000 properties had been damaged or destroyed. But despite this, Spitfire production was only stopped for a few days. As plans were made for the liberation of Europe, the area became a vital staging post for D-Day. In fact, over 2 million American troops would embark at Southampton, destined for the front line. After the war, Southampton was rebuilt and is now a thriving commercial city. However, if you look closely, it's easy to find the cracks caused by high explosive bombs, the odd gap in a row of houses where a family once lived, and of course the memorials to the 631 civilians who were killed. These scars are reminders of the valiant effort made by Southampton and her people during some of the darkest days